One. And we're back. We decided we had so much more to say, and it sounds like the noise has stopped. So we're going to continue with, we were kind of talking off camera a little bit, and we kind of got into a fun conversation about sex and stuff. So,
yes, we sure did. And Chris was introducing me to a new word I've never heard of. Ladies and gentlemen, pegging.
A
Tell me
very
all
brief
about that,
backstory
Chris.
here. Kai revealed to me that she does not watch porn, and I guess sadly enough, have watched quite a bit of porn in my life. As I said earlier, I was single for a good decade, and porn kind of helped me stay single. It made it very easy. But so since Kai's never watched porn before, or has very little, but not a regular, I had to ask her if she knew what pegging was, because I was like, porn will show you some crazy stuff you never even thought of, and you're like, oh my God, people do this. Pegging is one of those things for me. I kind of heard about it, looked it up, utterly mortified. But what pegging is where a woman and a man are, sexually active together, and a woman will get a strap on and have sex with the guy in his backside. Yeah. And this is a thing that's like a little more common than you would think, because like I know at least like one person that's kind of into it, and somebody else who I think is into it. Both of these are females. I don't know what guys are getting. I don't even know how you would even approach, but I've had girls joke with me about that. I don't know if they were just testing the waters or were serious, but they've kind of joked with me like, would you be open to pegging or something like that? And I was like, hell no. Like, hell no. But that's just one of the many crazy things you will see in porn that you'll stumble across, and kind of scrolling through porn, you'll just see some stuff, and pegging's one of those things. Or I don't know, that was one thing that's just completely creeped me out. But I know people do it. I don't know what they get out of it. Like,
Well, I mean, what they get out of it is apparently there's a spot. I'm sorry, I'm using my finger like a doctor.
Yeah.
There's a spot that men have in there, right? That's like right in the anus or right above the anus or something like that, inside.
I've heard stories, but I've never experienced this. I've never engaged in the backdoor play myself, so I can't speak to it. But I've read enough about it to. It's apparently in there. You should be able to reach it with a finger. You should not need a strap on. That's why I don't understand. Like, why would a woman want to put a strap on and like go to town on this guy? And why would a guy want that done to him? Like, I don't know. Like, why not just
if they're
be
heterosexual? If they're heterosexual.
Yeah, like why would you want a penis-shaped thing just pounding you in your backside if you're not into guys? Like, why not just be with the guy if you want to have sex with a penis?
Because maybe it's more about the feeling that they get.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the actual, like, and it's interesting to me because I feel that orgasms start with a thought. It's not really just the physical thing of it. It's an actual thought. It's kind of like, I actually had this conversation with my husband too. Like,
and they're back. They didn't make a sound the entire time we were talking off camera.
What the fuck?
Oh, that's funny.
Maybe it's like a sign that I shouldn't be telling all and revealing all right now about my poor husband. But anyway, yeah, like there are things that we can't explain where we're involuntary, like where we involuntarily react.
Yeah.
Where we involuntarily react, right? Like when we're scared, we get into this fight or flight mode, right? If we notice something or someone is behind us and we don't expect it, we then jump. Isn't the same thing for like when people get aroused? Like they're not, you can't really always explain why in a given moment you may be aroused with something, but I think that has to do first initially with thought or sight or sound.
Yeah. Smell and sight are pretty big ones for me. Smells are much bigger for me than I ever could have imagined. Like, I don't know what it is about certain perfumes. Like, I smell certain perfumes and I just go into heat. Like, I'm just like, whoa, I need you now. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like,
Smells are super important. They're sensory, you know, and we're fully realized human beings. We're not just physical. But
Yep.
I do think it initially starts with a thought. I mean, the scent, you know, you know, you smell it, hits your brain, you have a reaction to it, right?
Yeah.
Um, so going back to the whole pegging thing, maybe it's just the you know, I don't know, maybe it's just the physical feeling. It's not the actual thought of like um you know, a dildos in the back of me or something. It's that oh my god, it's the fact that that my girlfriend or my partner or my lover is doing something really dirty to me, and she's really aggressive, and she's into me and she's into this act, and I'm getting a really good penetration out of it as well, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Having never experienced this prostate play, I will be open to the fact that maybe I'm missing out on something here, because apparently it's supposed to be a much more, I forget how it's described, much more intense or deep, something like that. It's supposed to be a better orgasm than what I've been having my entire life from what I read. But I'm still just
yeah,
like, I feel like that's a level of trust I don't have with anybody, to let them just start exploring inside. I don't know how women do it. That's why I kind of think about, like, because as a guy, when I think about having sex, like, I am in control of that situation. Like, there's never going to be there's never going to be a moment where a woman is going to overpower me and I can't get out of that situation. But for women, like, you're letting somebody enter your body, and you're in a vulnerable
mhm,
situation where they could easily overpower you anytime they really want, unless you're like trained in martial arts or something. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's just, that's a level of trust that, like, I don't know if I have with somebody. Like, I feel like, especially when people just hook up with somebody they met that night or barely know at all, and I'm like, I would never let somebody enter my body like that. I mean, I've been with my
Mhm.
girlfriend for 6 years, and if she asked me to like play around with my ass, I'd be like, I don't think we're at that trust level yet. That's after six
Yeah,
years. Like, people do crazy stuff like that after like knowing somebody for 4 hours. I,
yeah, yeah. And I think that's because I think, you know, if you were a woman, you would come around to the idea that like this is your body and this is the power in which you have in your body, right? Whether you see it as limited or not is, I guess, you, right? But a lot of women feel in control in the bedroom, and when they don't feel in control, I feel like that's probably a problem.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, especially because, like, you know, men are doing the entering, right? And I remember being very conflicted about it as a kid, being and learning about sex, and being like, you know, why did God do that? Why did God make it so unfair? You know, we're the ones that have to get things stuck up inside of us, and we're the ones who have to then like have these carry around these aliens in our stomachs for like 9 months and then poop them out. I remember being so upset about this whole thing,
yeah,
and and thinking we had the short end of the stick, but um that's debatable, you know, and that's really debatable. But I think, I don't know, the whole thing about, you know, having that trust with your body and another person in that moment, in that time, in that hookup, in that it's funny, and they're
yeah,
drilling, you
yeah,
know, how ironic. But I think, you know, having that trust is interesting, and it's just it makes me sort of realize that you can't really judge anyone for their sexual um, preferences or ideas about sex, because sex is very personal. It's
Yeah.
very individual. It's very unique, and it's very specific to that person.
It's kind of weird since you have not watched porn like over the course of like young adulthood to adulthood and everything. I guess you haven't like noticed the trends that have kind of happened, like because like me as somebody who's been watching, I started watching porn in college, late college. I don't know, because I did go through a religious phase in college where I didn't masturbate or watch porn for like a couple of years, and after that I kind of started watching porn, and there's some fascinating things that happened with it. Like number one, I kind of learned through porn, which sounds, I guess, inappropriate in today's age, but it's true. Like I learned through porn to appreciate the wide variety of women's bodies types and like different, all the different types of like ethnicities and stuff like that. Because you know, I didn't really grow up seeing a lot of these different types of women, and you grow up seeing like one particular body type kind of presented as beautiful, and anything that doesn't match that's not. But then through porn, I would see a bunch of different types of women naked, and I was like, she doesn't have the ideal body type, but I'm very attracted to her. Like she doesn't have like this particular beauty standard, but I find her very attractive. And then you would see body types like that just you've never really considered attractive before, but then you see them naked and you're like, you start to realize like a lot of different body types and different types of women are attractive. And that's a positive thing I got from porn. But a negative thing is like you start seeing like porn has become more aggressive over time. um, like when I first started watching porn, it was basically just kind of like fake Barbie looking girls having sex, and then it became things where it would be like it's like they kept trying to push the boundaries, and it was like next thing you know it's like it started getting a little rapey. And then you start seeing things like double penetration. I don't know if you know what that is. I hope you've never seen it, but um
I do. I
okay,
do know what it is.
I was hoping you
Mhm.
didn't, but
Actually, let me. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. When it's the
okay.
butt and the vagina hole,
Well,
right?
that's one, but you can also go two in the same. That's terrifying if you've ever seen that. Like it just makes you kind of like want to hug the girl and like go cry and curl up in a ball. But people are into it because it's a thing people do. And you see things like that, and you see this throating thing, which is something Cardi B actually says she wants done to her in that WAP song. Which I don't know if you know what that is either, but I don't
What
want to
is
get
that?
too. I don't know how graphic I want to get here, but it's I forget the line she has in there, but she's talking about wanting to feel his member cramming down the back of her throat, which is like a thing that kind of popped up in porn in the last like 5 to 10 years. It's called throating. It was kind of a fad for a while where these guys would just basically be like trying to cram themselves in this girl's mouth to the point where like she has like, her eyes are watering and like sometimes they even vomit and stuff. It's completely like, I don't know, not my thing, but obviously there's a
No,
market for it. People like it. And then it kind of,
no, no, no. There is lots of people and lots of men that I've dated like that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like I wonder about that because I'm like, doesn't it look like I'm like in pain? You know what I
That's why I
mean?
can never enjoy
And
it. Like I had a girlfriend that did that once. Like I didn't ask her to do it. She just would do it. And I was just like, it was hard for me to enjoy it because it's like when you hear this sound and somebody sounds like they're choking, it's like, that's not a sound I really enjoy hearing. And then I'm not focused on the moment anymore. I'm focused on my concern for you as a human being that I care about. Like, I just want your well-being to like take precedent over whatever you're trying to do that I'm not really that into, and I don't know why you think I want that. Like, and then I'm like, well, if she's into it, then I'll suffer through it, but to make her happy. But then I don't even ever ask her, is this what you want? Or are you doing this because you think I want this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, it's never a conversation that came up. But then there's, it evolves to like all of a sudden you're seeing women get kind of like slapped, like, you know, I don't know, like it was like maybe a light slap in the face or like a hard slap to the tits or something weird like that. And I'm like, this wasn't something I was seeing a few years ago. Now it's kind of a fad. Then that goes away, and now the thing is choking. Like everybody's getting choked during sex and stuff now. And it's like, then you see people getting like spit on and like, it's like, man, none of this is like looking like loving though. It's all like kind of like, it seems to be
because
getting
it's not
more.
meant to.
What's that?
It's actually not. It's not meant to. It's not meant to look like love.
Well, I don't
I
even want it
think
to look like love. I just want it to look like an act of lust. Like when I think of like, when I see somebody like, I don't know, like a coworker or somebody you see out at the grocery store or something, you're like, damn, they're hot. And you kind of have that momentary like thought, like some crazy stuff. It doesn't involve me choking them or like spitting in their face or like slapping them or something like that. It's more like, I just want to go have sex. I don't know where all this like aggression
But
is coming
that's your
from.
version, right? That's your version.
Yeah.
I just want to go have sex is your version of sex.
Yeah.
Somebody else's version of sex is, I can't wait to slap my fucking hands all over their tits and rub my head in their tits and then like you have them peg me, you know? So
Yeah.
that's their version, I guess. And now we're finding that probably it's more common than not to, I guess, because now it's becoming more widely acceptable. But it's interesting that we're starting to, I mean, isn't it a form of like BDSM, of which wasn't really popular and now is now more popular
Yeah. And
or
that,
acceptable, right?
yeah, that has no appeal to me. Like that's one of those things I don't understand. Like for me, like any kind of sexual experience I have, I don't want to involve any pain for me or the person I'm with. Like I don't want there to be any pain, no pain, like pain-free sex. Like that's what I'm looking for. But there are some people that get off on causing people pain, like having pain inflicted upon them. Like I don't know. Like I just kind of wonder where that comes from. Like, because like why? It's kind of like
I think what it is testing the boundaries. I think it's kind of like, you know, as I look, I'm with you. I totally don't want pain. I don't want any kind of pain during sex, like no kind of pain.
yeah,
But like, for the same, I think for the same reasons why we like really sugary food or really spicy food, salty food, or hot food, or eat a lot of food in a sitting and have those competitions or ride roller coasters, or it's because we like the thrill or we want to see the limit of
yeah,
what we can do, right? And for a moment it's like, whoa, that's crazy. Whoa, I just hit her in the face. I think she liked it, you know? Oh my God, I'm not supposed to do it. And I think for a lot of people, there's a thrill in doing things you're not supposed to do or doing things that are bad, you know?
yeah.
Um,
I know a lot of girls are into this choking thing now. I don't know if they've always like if women have always had a desire to be choked, or did this just happen in the past like 10 years, or where did this come from? Why do women want to be choked now is what I don't understand.
I don't actually think that, I think that for some people, the whole like BDSM and like things like choking and shit like that is like cool. Like, oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But um, I generally speaking, I don't think it like, I think it's become a popular thing now because right now it's cool in media and a lot of celebrities are like, that's raunchy and different and explore, it's a shock value thing, right? And so even if maybe those celebrities don't necessarily do that or like it,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious to me because the stripper, right? The stripper turned rap artist, Cardi B,
Mhm.
gets married. She gets married, has a baby, gets married. Like, how does that make any sense to her image? I don't even get that. I don't get it. And now she's divorced because he's cheated on her, like
Multiple
a
times.
variety of different,
Did you
multiple times, right?
well something I wanted to bring up before when we were talking about cheating. When she got cheated on the first time, because I don't really follow her, so I didn't know about this at the time, but when she got divorced, I saw this in the article I was reading. When he cheated on her the first time, which was like a couple years ago, people were kind of like giving her shit on Instagram for going back to him or something like that. And her response was something that I've actually heard multiple women say to me, and it's just sad as fuck to me. Is like basically she was like, what do you expect me to do? Like break up with this guy because he's cheating on me, go out there, try and find somebody else, and then just get cheated on again? I might as well just stay with this cheater because all men cheat. Like that was basically like her thing. And I've heard multiple women say that to me. They're just like, all men cheat, so I don't care if my man's cheating on me. Like all men cheat, so I might as well just stay with this one because I at least, I don't know. And I'm like, damn, that's just sad as fuck. Like that's your
But
opinion of like
that's
men.
sad? I mean, because going back to cheating, then let's say, right? Is it actually that sad? Because you also too said that you equate even thinking about another person
Yeah.
as an act of cheating, right? So if we're that like thoughtful about it, and we say like, yes, thinking about another person then is considered cheating, right? If we want to take it that far,
Yeah.
then women do too, right? And so basically Cardi B and the rest of them are saying, listen, I cheat too, in my mind or physically or whatever it is,
That
right?
was not what she said.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what she's actually saying. Excuse me. It matters what she's saying, but she's also saying on the flip side, obviously, she either doesn't have self-respect for herself or she realizes that she also, because what you can, and the reason I'm saying this is because what you accept, you either think for yourself,
Yeah.
okay? You think that you also do, or you have no self-respect if it's something that's negative.
Yeah.
You think that, well, and even if you haven't done it, you want to give yourself that grace to say, if I need to do it, I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I realized to some degree, those women are actually kind of smart because they kind of get it. They're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, he's not the first, he's not going to be the last. I'm also not the first, and I'm not going to be the last.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, who are those men cheating on them with?
That I don't know. But to me, it's just sad that they've given up on like, because I feel like whatever your version of what you want out of a relationship is, there are easily hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people on this planet that are looking for that same thing. So
Yeah,
I give
but
up
hang
on
on
your
a minute.
happiness just to
But hang on a
accept
minute.
like
Those men are cheating on them with other women. So
yeah,
those women are cheating too. So
exactly.
the real truth is both men and women cheat. And
It,
I think without them even without Cardi B and other women that you've mentioned consciously realize is that they know that they can cheat too, and that they may cheat or they will cheat or they have cheated.
yeah,
So for me it's like I don't know. For me I'm like, well, then what's the point of marriage, when I think about it, right? Because I've got this idealist sort of view about what I think about marriage and what it should be, and what I've been given as a child growing up in America as to what marriage should look like,
yeah,
um, but you know it's individual, it's unique, and it's up to that it's up to that relationship, it's up to that person. But going back to sex, I feel like you know it's a it's a largely um it's largely unique,
mhm,
it's largely individual, and to place a judgment on it just because you don't do it or just because you don't understand it is something that I realized got me into a lot of trouble
yeah,
until I started to be like, hold on a minute, because there are things, that I don't do that people who I've been with can't accept. They're like, you're like a deprived person. You're what's wrong with you? Like, how do you feel comfortable in yourself? Like, who are you when the lights are off? Who are you by yourself? And I had to think about those things, and I'm like, dang, like I thought it was fine. Like, what do you mean? Like, but you know, I had to basically grow up and realize like I may have I have certain boundaries, right? Um and I respect those boundaries, and the person that I want to be with needs to respect those boundaries, and vice versa. He doesn't have to necessarily like them,
yeah,
but okay, he respects them. And I guess you know in saying that, you can't, as much as we're like, yes, no anal play, you know what I mean? All those kind of things that maybe for people like yourself or people like myself are a bit taboo, which is interesting that we both have a similar opinion about that, which is hilarious. Um, you know, some people are like, well, what the fuck? It's great. You're missing out, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that may be true. That honestly may be true.
I'll probably try it before I die. I just hadn't happened yet. I, now I will say the weird thing is, so like this is kind of makes me a hypocrite. I feel like is so I will do that. I will play with that area with the woman, no problem. I mean, I wouldn't say no problem. Like it's got to be, I got to be really, really in the mood, and it's got to be kind of a special woman. I wouldn't just do that with anybody, but I've done it.
Mhm.
But when it comes to me, the same thing, like being kind of like area played with on me, I'm just like, nope, nope, no, 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 no. And I feel like that probably has to do with like being raised in a kind of homophobic, Christian culture. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I'm also one of those people where I feel like I'm just such a curious person naturally. Like I want to try everything once. Like
Mhm.
that's why when I meet people that won't even try things, I'm like, how can you not be curious? Like curious enough to at
Mhm.
least try it a little bit. Like, and then if you don't like it, like I understand, like, hey, no, no, no. Because, I know plenty of girls who have, said they'll never try anal, never try anal. And then 5 years, 6 years later, I talk to that same girl and she's like, oh, I tried anal. It's like, oh, what happened? I'd never try anal. Eventually, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
curiosity like gets you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for everybody, but for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I
somebody.
mean, I've inquired about it. You know what I mean? Uh, what can I say? Um,
I like that word, inquired.
yeah, I've inquired about it, and a couple of times. I've inquired about it a couple of times, and with various partners, and uh, no.
For women, like the biggest thing with that is like, I don't think they know how to relax. Because like if you can't relax, it's going to hurt. But if you relax, it unless your partner is very large, it shouldn't really hurt that much if you could just relax. But I understand why it's hard to relax. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand, but like that's the one thing I have noticed. Like I had some partners that like wanted to do it, and since they were wanting to do it, they were much more relaxed, and it was a very good experience. And then other people, it was kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, maybe we should try it. And they're like, okay, I'll try. They were basically more doing it because to please me instead of because they wanted to. And then they weren't
Mm.
relaxed. And then it's like, as soon as you start to get in there, it's like, ow, how it hurts. And it's like, all right, let's not do this then because you're clearly not relaxed. This is going to be a horrible experience. And it's only going to make you hate this for the rest of your life. Like you're going to think this is what it is. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
But some people really
Um,
love it. Like it's a thing they can't go without. Like for me, I haven't done it in like 10 years. It's not like a thing I really care about. But if somebody wants to do it, I'm like, I'm okay with it. But
that's,
some people like
yeah.
gotta have it.
Look at me. All right, I'm already passing judgment. Jesus, my God, that's crazy. No, it's. I mean, I respect that. For me, I just, you know, my goods, everything works down there, and it works fine, and everyone seems to be happy. So I'm not trying to confuse anything and shake things up too much here. I'm all right. I'm all right, and if ever I get bored for some fucking excuse me, if ever I get bored, in I don't know 100 years, I guess, I'll consider that. But I just, uh, man, I hope one day this doesn't come to bite me, no pun intended, in the butt. But I just feel like, and I've got lots of friends who also say to me, "Oh, it's really great, blah blah blah. It's the best orgasm I've ever had." and I've just been like, that's great. That's very good, Um, but to each their own.
Yeah. To each their own. Yeah. That is very true. It's something you definitely learn. And that's the weirdest thing about, like, I don't know, I feel like dating as you get older too is like, because when you're younger, you don't realize like how important that kind of thing is. But like as you get older, like you could meet somebody and like you go out on like a few dates and you're like, oh, this person's great. Like we have this in common, that in common. We click and click. But then when it comes time to bedroom, if you guys don't click there, it's like it fucks everything up. And how do you can't just bring that up to somebody like on a second date. So how do you feel about anal play, or like how do you feel about like strap-ons? Like you can't bring that up on a second or third date. That's just kind of something that just happens. You just have to find out like when you find out, and then you're like, fuck,
You know,
I can't.
this is the question. Oh my God, this is the question I had for one of my previous friends, one of the friends I lost this
Yeah.
year, 2020. But he was gay. He is gay, sorry. And in the community, I just don't. I never understood. Like you could be attracted. So it's like I said to him, I'm like, how do you know who's the bottom and who's the top?
I've always wondered that.
Me too, because it's like you can be attracted to someone. What if they don't do, like, what if they're not, who's the bottom and who's the top? And what if it's not the person that you need that does whatever it is that you do?
Yeah.
So that you can, like, how do you have one night stands? Like, what happens if you're both like the one thing and one of you, and I'm like, and he didn't really tell me. And this is still a question I have. I don't know.
Don't you have like a ton of gay friends?
I do.
And how have you
I,
not discovered? How have you not gotten to the bottom of this?
I guess
I'm thinking of one person in
sexuality.
particular that I feel like would answer this for you.
Yes. I feel like sexuality is such a private thing
Yeah.
for many people that I even with my friends and close friends, like, some of us like talk about it, but we don't talk about like all of it. When you were a kid, not a kid, but like when you were young, you sort of are like, oh, did you do that? Blah, 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 blah. But now we're at an age where it's like, come on, like, why are you like, come on, like, don't, that's someone's private business over here.
I find my girlfriends talk about it very, very openly and very. When I say girlfriends, I mean female friends, not girls I'm dating. My female friends will talk about it very descriptively, very vividly, and very openly. My guy friends, I don't know anything about their sex lives. Like I don't know anything about their sex, but all of my female friends that are married, like I know pretty much like how content they are with their sex life, what they're missing. Like my guy friends, no clue. Like they could be miserable, happy. I have no idea. They never talk about it. That's really weird to me. Like I don't know why that is.
Well, women are a bit more, chatty
Yeah.
about that kind of stuff. Men are not in general, I think. But it is true. But I think, I don't know, the older you get, the more serious you get into your relationships, the less time you have to be discussing the details of your sexual relationships or romantic relationships.
Yeah.
But it is a question I've always wanted to know within the gay community, the gay male community,
Yeah.
is how you go about like intimacy and finding, if especially those kind of like, I wouldn't say yeah, yeah. So I just always wanted to know, and I still don't know.
I was shocked when I found this whole top bottom dynamic existed, because I just assumed that they were equals and kind of took turns. Like one time the other person would do it, the next time. But then I found out like some people are bottoms, some people are tops, and then some people may be both. But I was just like, so how the hell do you know then? Like, it's like I've heard of gaydar, but I've never heard of like top or bottom dar. Like, how do you figure that shit out?
Sometimes I wondered if it had to do with the idea that like it depends on like how feminine or how masculine
Yeah.
you are. Like I think at one point someone might have said something like that to me. I might be wrong, I can't remember exactly, but or maybe I just thought maybe it has to do with that. But then again, you know, I have known lots of gay men who were very on the sort of like seriously masculine side,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what people would call zaddies, you know what they call zaddies, so like, you know, seriously, like, you know, lift weights and ripped and just like,
Oh yeah.
you know, that type of
Yeah.
gay guy,
Have
and they were bottoms.
well,
Yeah,
power bottoms.
you know, so it's like never judge a book by its cover, and also too, you never know the you just never know the sexual preference of someone or their sexual ideas, because it's very unique and personal to that person.
Yeah.
um so
Yeah.
on that note,
On that note, I guess we will say goodbye for good this time. And we will catch you another time, hopefully next week. Like, share, subscribe, and hope you enjoyed.